Hi, I'm Apurv. I'm in the final year of my Bachelor's Master's Dual Degree program in Environmental Sciences at the Indian Institute of Science Education and Research in Bhopal, India. Since my academic background is in environmental sciences, I've developed a strong interest in sustainability as its role in business. And that's essentially what led me to consider pursuing management education after graduation. I'll be applying for the fall 2026 intake to a few Masters in Management programs at European business schools and some postgraduate programs at Indian business schools. Since my earlier GMAT score was 655, I felt it would be important to take the test again in July 2025 to improve my chances of admission at some of the more competitive schools. When I first started preparing for the GMAT, my initial mock test score was 545. That was before any kind of structured prep. With the help of resources like the GMAT official guide and the free mock tests, I managed to push it up to the 645 to 655 range. But no matter what I tried, I couldn't seem to get it any higher. It was frustrating because I was putting in the effort but hitting a ceiling. With just 1 month left before my second attempt, I subscribed to Target Test Prep. And I'm glad I did it. I scored a 705 in the actual exam with a Quant score of 90. That was especially satisfying because I hadn't hit a perfect 90 even once during my mock tests. For my first attempt, which I gave in December 2024, I relied almost entirely on the GMAT official guide question bank, the official practice test, and another prep service. And that prep service was helpful to an extent. It wasn't really enough. It lacked the depth and structure I needed to make a real jump. I eventually realized that if I wanted to move beyond the 90th percentile threshold, I would need better material. And that's when I decided to invest in TTP, and pretty much from the beginning it became clear where I had been going wrong. I came across Target Test Prep mainly through GMAT Club forums and some of the video testimonials, though I never thought I would be recording one of those myself. What I found encouraging was how many people talked about being stuck at a particular score range, just like I was, and how TTP helped them break through that. So I decided to give it a try. I only had a month, so I used TTP for that exact duration, which I know isn't ideal, but it was all the time I had. Within that 1 month, I tried to go through as many lessons as I could and solve a good number of practice questions using the personalized study plan. Despite the time crunch, the structure of the course helped me focus and stay on track. There was no guesswork. I knew exactly what to do each day. What stood out to me was how TTP doesn't just focus on getting questions right. It helps you understand why you might get them wrong, whether it's due to falling for track choices, misreading the question stem, or missing details in the reading comprehension passage. The course made me more alert and mindful while solving questions, and I genuinely think that made a big difference in the actual exam. In particular, I appreciated that the course didn't just aim at improving accuracy, but worked on how I approached the test itself. I could see this shift clearly in my verbal section. I had struggled with assumption and inference-based questions before, but TTP helped me approach those in a more structured way. On test day, I felt much more in control of my time and mental focus. My GMAT journey with TTP was essentially a very compact 1 month sprint, but even in that short period, the impact was clear. I stopped approaching questions reactively and started solving them with more composure. During the actual test, I followed a strategy of marking questions that felt too time-consuming so I could revisit them later. This helped. I corrected a mistake I had made early on during the review window and still had time to double-check a few others. That sort of mental clarity and time management is something I definitely credit TTP with helping me build. If there's one thing I would want to share with anyone preparing for the GMAT, is that staying calm makes a huge difference. GMAT is as much of a test of composure as it is of concepts. That's what I believe. Even a few seconds of panic can mess with your flow. It's important to know when to skip a question and come back to it, and equally important not to dwell on mistakes while you are still writing the test. You're bound to get something wrong. The key is to keep moving and focus on the next one. To sum it up, TTP helped me move from a 655 to a 705 in just a month. But more than just the score increase, it helped me shift my entire approach from being reactive to being intentional and focused. I'm genuinely thankful for that, and I hope sharing this journey helps someone who's stuck at a similar point feel a little less lost. Thank you.